So every couple of years I buy a new scan tool, and what I've been using the last several years is the Autel, and I use the little tablet, the MS 906, little touchscreen tablet here, and it does just about everything I need it to do. So the reason I get a new one is these things were so inexpensive that I could buy a new one for about $300 more than the cost of the update, once the sub was up on it. So spend another $300 to get the new, the new tool. So I have a pile of Autel tools here. But anyway, this year I think I'm going to change tools, and I'm going to buy the Launch Pro 3, X431 Pro tablet 3. I know that they have a new one, a version 4 out. They call it the Elite, but that's new, and I'm not, I don't know anybody that has one, and I'm sure it's fine, but I do know somebody that does, drivability and repair every day, and they've used all the tools, and they're using, that Pro tablet from Launch, and they love it. I mean, some of the coverages on it for all modern vehicles, everything, within the last 5 or 6 years, it pretty much does just about everything you need to do. Some of the earlier models, there's some deficiencies there, but I mean, I've got plenty of stuff around here to cover that if I ever run into it. So we're going to give that a shot, and I think it's going to be probably a pretty good choice for an all-around scan tool. I mean, I'm pretty much seeing the same thing, all the time, it's just GM and Ford. My complaints about the Autel is the power balance graphic for Ford is just horrible. It's not real time. You're looking at it go by, it already happened, and then, it's not like IDS2 or anything like that. GM, the misfire graphic is pretty bad. They didn't do a very good job on it at all. I mean, as far as the coverage goes, it does most things. There's some things that I would like to see it do that I understand that the Launch does do, and it does it well. So we're going to switch over brands. Back in the day, Launch was, didn't, in the industry, didn't have a very good name, although a lot of people used them. But I kind of consider Launch like Hyundai. When the first Hyundai XLs came out, they were just a piece of crap at a Mitsubishi engine. You could see them smoking all over town. And, what wound up happening is, today they built one of the best cars in the world. They've stepped their game up, and I think they were the first ones, if not the first, to offer a 10-year powertrain warranty, which is unheard of, or was at the time. So, that's kind of the way I view Launch. They've stepped up their game and made improvements, and they build a pretty good tool now. I mean, you can't. Factory tooling is great, but it's expensive. So your subscriptions are really expensive, and I know there's a lot of elitists in the industry that are like, well, you're not a professional if you don't. Well, go screw yourself. All I do, I fix stuff. I fix it every day, and I fix it. So, and I do have IDS2. I hate laptop-based, diagnostic tools, because it's a pain in the ass. I just hate using a laptop. I know you can buy a little tablet. I'm not going to do that. Laptops require too much maintenance. They need batteries, and I like the little handheld stuff. And I have a Tech 2. I've got my Mongoose for different Mongoose for different programming that I do. And I just do it when I need to. I do it. Got the Tech 2. I have the old T-handle, which has an excellent Ford power balance test on it. I'm unmatched by even IDS. I think it's just a really good power balance test that it has. Got Snap-on scanner, some other kind of piece of crap code reader, but you know, the Autel is a pretty good value for the money, and they do make a bigger machine than this, you know, with a better processor, same operating system, but you know, it's got a faster, you know, more powerful processor in it. And these, you know, you got to keep the memory cleared out on them, or they get pretty clunky, especially on a Ford if you're reading codes. You know, sometimes it takes forever. But if you go in and you know, delete those vehicles, because it will save them, you know, that frees up some RAM, and it'll start moving a little faster. But if I like the launch, I probably won't go back to Autel. You know, nothing really against them. It's just I've been using them for years. In fact, I have, when this tablet first came out, I'm pretty sure I was the first one in the world to actually buy this little tablet. You know, the first one sold was to me. Bought it off the tool guy as soon as he got it in his hands. So, and I've been pretty happy with it. But you know, there's plenty of these out there in the world now that, you know, a guy that's just starting out, a young guy, you know, you don't need to go on a Snap-on truck and put yourself into, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of debt. You know, if you know, you can check Craigslist and different places like that. Guys are selling this stuff. And as far as, you know, if you need a little scope, let me grab this real quick. Yeah, Vantage Pro right here. You can buy these. I've seen them for as low as $500. And as far as updates, the database in them, you don't need that. I mean, I never did use the database in it. You know, you can VIN the vehicle in and go to the component and the component test, and you don't need that crap. You know, you have service information. That's a pretty good tool there, and you can buy them, you know, anywhere from $500 to, you know, $1,000, and you'll use it. You know, you got a digital graphing meter, you know, a multimeter function. You've got a 2-channel scope. You can use your amp probe on it. You can check secondary ignition with it on a distributor ignition. You know, there are ways to test a distributorless ignition or a coil on plug or coil near plug, because most modern systems are, you know, the driver's in the PCM, so you can hook onto the coil down there, and you can actually get your firing line and your spark line, and you can look at them, and you can do that with this. I used to actually do a lot of ignition diagnosis with this little thing here back when I had good eyesight. You know, like on the GM VIN-R and the 4.3 V6, you know, with the distributor in them, you could look at your secondary ignition pattern, you know, do the whole gamut, the raster and all that crap. And you know, no need to buy a new one, because these are really durable tools and they last. I mean, I've had my Modus, I don't know when I bought that thing, and I still use it today. You know, I use it every day, just about. Here lately I've been doing a lot of gas drivability stuff, which, you know, is not generally what I do, but you know, I've been doing more and more of it, and I can do it as well as anyone else, so I might as well do it. And there are a lot of gas trucks out there, so it's actually fun to diagnose and work on them. So, you know, I have that, been using it. I set myself up over the years with different connectors and, you know, different little gadgets to do electrical testing and stuff like that. And, you know, that kind of stuff is pretty cheap, you know, so if a guy just starting out, he wants to, you know, get value for his money, you know, find yourself a used scan tool that's, you know, maybe you might have to buy an update for it. It might have an update that's late enough for you to utilize every day. And, you know, find yourself a good Vantage Pro. Like I said, they're all over Craigslist and, you know, different forums where they sell, you know, used Snap-on tools, and you can get them for, you know, a good value. I don't remember what I paid for this, but it was way more than $500, I tell you that. But you know, don't waste your money on, you know, spend your money wisely and start out slow. And if you need specialty tools, you know, try to avoid, yeah, it's impressive having a big toolbox. I got a 75th anniversary Snap-on tool cart back there that, Yeah, it was really impressive. It cost way too much money, and it's like just stupid. I'm not trying to impress people. I'm trying to fix stuff. So I got caught up in that too. When I was younger, I was like, yeah, I got to buy all these Snap-on tools. But I had things on my, when I worked in shops, I had things that were my own. I bought my own scope. I bought my own scan tool. I had an exhaust gas analyzer. I had 3 of them, over the years when I worked for somebody else. I had a Counselor 1 that was mine that I used, back in the early days, and then I got a Counselor 2 that had a 4 gas. I think it was a 4. I can't remember if it was a 4 or 5 gas. It was at least a 4 gas analyzer built into it, and that was a really nice machine. And then they started coming out with the handheld stuff, and that's when diagnostics really took off, because now you have stuff that's really portable and you can actually go drive with it, run your leads out under the hood and stuff like that. So, which is, pretty much the norm nowadays. We've been doing that for so many years now. But, you need to watch your money and not, don't get caught up in the, don't go on the rape ban, and let them do that to you. If you need specialty tools, or some tools that these tool outfits sell, it's real convenient to have them show up in your parking lot every week too, but what's really tough is having to hand them money every week, because you have other, you can't work without the tools, but there are smarter ways to get the tools. You can buy almost any OTC tool you want on the internet or on Amazon for less money. Or you can buy a little bit cheaper tool, and there's some pretty good cheaper tools out there, kind of off-brand, I guess you'd call them. And, just buy your tools that way, because you don't really have to impress anybody. You're just trying to get stuff fixed and get your job done. If you want to impress people, get the tools that you need to do, drivability diagnosis and become proficient at it, and, learn everything that you can. There's a lot of tutorials and things on how to interpret, scope patterns, and how to hook up and to do, current ramping and different things like that, on YouTube, and just study that stuff and become really proficient at it. And that's going to be more impressive, if you want to be a drivability guy. And, I know the manufacturers are trying to, they want to get it to the point to where, this code means you change this component, and then it's fixed and you move on. Well, those of us that have been around in the industry, I mean, they're getting pretty close to that, but we've been around, for a while, and that ain't gonna happen. There's no way that's gonna happen, because we still have connectors, we still have wiring, and it's gonna chafe, and we still have components that are just crap, and they're gonna fail. So, I don't think they're ever gonna get to that point, to where the PCM or the computer is going to actually really know what's wrong with the vehicle. So, this is going to be around for a long time. It doesn't matter if they, I know GM wants to switch over to all electric. Good luck with that. That's all I have to say. That would be, shooting your foot off to spite your ass or something. That's just really stupid. Because, for one thing, we already have rolling blackouts. What is there, some new technology, magical space energy going to come out of the sky? Or, where are you going to get all this electrical power to charge all these vehicles? I could see that happening eventually, as technology progresses. But right now, you're not going to, if you sold only electric cars, like Tesla, and some of these other smaller companies, that's their specialty, and they have their market niche. I have no intention of driving a Tesla. I'm just totally yeah, it'd be great if I could just plug something in and not have to stop at the gas station, but, I'm gasoline powered. As long as we have oil in the ground, that resource is there, and they have them pretty damn clean now. They have these vehicles really clean, except for Chrysler. They don't check them at wide open throttle, but, they are pretty clean. And the diesels, if you don't mess with the emissions on them, the newest diesels, they're pretty damn clean too. Our standards are actually higher than they are for European vehicles. So, They've got them. They've done a good job of really cleaning them up, and so the pollution factor, unless somebody tampers with it, is way lower than it was, in the past. So, as long as we got that oil in the ground, that resource in the ground, we're going to have gas or, fossil fuel powered vehicles, and machinery and stuff, because there isn't enough electricity unless you want to build nuclear power plants all across the country. I did get into a discussion with somebody about that, and they were telling me how it could be done, and I'm like, what universe are you talking about? Because it isn't in this one. We don't have that, as far as I know, we don't have that kind of technology, and we have rolling blackouts, and we've got lakes down here that generate power down here in the, just south of us in the desert down there that are going dry, and if they dry up, we're not going to have that power going there. Where are you going to get all this power? There aren't enough power plants to, keep California fed and the desert Southwest. So, that's a pipe dream there. That's an environmentalist pipe dream. So that's not going to be happening. So, the internal combustion engine technology is progressing and but you'll still need technicians to fix it, because we're still going to be using wires, or even if they use, they're using a lot of fiber optics now. Well, that stuff's going to break too. That's a piece of glass. It's going to chafe and break, and that's real interesting when you have to diagnose that kind of an issue. So the technician is always going to need to be involved in it, and it is going to get to the point, though, to where it's going to be really difficult to do it yourself or to do any repairs. It's not really to that point yet, but I think it will get to that point. So you will have to have some equipment and some training or some general knowledge of how this stuff works, the system works, in order to actually repair it. I can't tell you how many times people go into, I'll use AutoZone as an example, check engine light, you whip in there, O2 sensor heater circuit, and so they sell you an O2 sensor. Well, you put that in, well, that didn't fix it, because that's not the only thing involved there. You've got a driver for that, to turn that heater on, the PCM that contains that driver, and you have a wiring circuit, a power and a ground, which generally comes, the power comes from the computer, and it returns to the computer. It's controlled either on the power side or the ground side to modulate the voltage to that heater to heat it up, and that's how a lot of components work. So yes, sometimes you get lucky and you change that component and it fixes the problem, but if that doesn't fix it, then what are you going to do? If you don't have the equipment to test it, now you not only have you spent the money on the O2 sensor, which is probably aftermarket, and if it's a Chrysler product, you're isn't going to fix it anyway, not for very long. Probably any of the vehicles, because the aftermarket ones are pretty crappy. Now what are you going to do? You spent that money, now you need to take it to a shop or somebody who knows how to do that, or train yourself, and you have to check out your circuit and make sure your component's functioning, and you need a bi-directional scan tool so you can turn stuff on, and you need the equipment to diagnose it. So without getting lucky. So the technician will always be needed, as long as there's something with wheels on it that transports somebody, whether it's electric or internal combustion powered. So just keep that in mind. They're not gonna drive us out of the industry, because they're actually not as good as we are. They can build all the, have their big plans, where they're going to cut the technician out in the vehicle. All a technician will do, he'll be a parts changer. That'll never happen, because we know there's wiring involved, there's, pin connection, just things like that are going to make sure that the technician will never be obsolete. So anyway, so for the young guys, don't go spending the money on on brand new fancy stuff, you know, save the money and spend it on, you know, buy some used stuff that'll work. Buy some good quality used stuff like the Snap-on Vantage Pro. You know, I use this a lot. I use it for a multimeter. I don't even use a multimeter anymore. I just use that. And, you know, you'll save a lot of money, and you can, you know, spend the money on a car, and you know, you can impress people by being a good diagnostician, you know, a drivability diagnostician, instead of, you know, with a big fancy toolbox, because honestly, that never impressed me. I mean, I never understood how people could keep their stuff so clean. I mean, I try to keep my stuff clean, but, you know, it just gets trashed out. You know, I mean, your ratchets, and, you know, they got the rubber handle. I mean, the stuff just gets crap beat out of it. If you're using it every day, it's going to get worn out. So anyway, I'll as soon as the that launch shows up, we'll give it a test drive and see how we like it. I got plenty of vehicles around here I can use it on. So thanks.